where he's staying this holiday weekend. What more do we know, Brian, about this new immigration plan?
Good evening, John. Well, the plan is called Remain in Mexico, and under the agreement between both nations, what they've decided is that those immigrants who are traveling through Mexico seeking asylum in the United States will have to remain in Mexico until their court case and their asylum case is processed. And from what we understand here with the system in the United States, that process could take as long as 2 to 5 years. Now, according to reports, the details are still being finalized. There has not been any kind of final signed agreement. We reached out to the White House for a statement. They neither confirmed nor denied the existence of an agreement. In a statement to Fox News, they said, quote, President Trump has developed a strong relationship with the incoming Obrador administration, and we look forward to working with them on a wide range of issues. Now, this agreement between Mexico's newly elected president, Andrés Obrador, and President Trump provides a solution to the so-called catch and release policy. The president has railed against that policy. Currently, immigrants who are caught illegally at the border and claim asylum, they are released into the United States until their cases come up. Critics say some never show up for their court dates and some get lost in the system. Now, the number of asylum applications has more than tripled over the last 5 years to 141,000 in 2017. There's a backlog of 318,000 asylum applications right now. Officials hope this new agreement will deter more migrant caravans from coming. There are some 5,000 migrants in Tijuana right now that are hoping to apply for asylum in that caravan. The mayor there is calling it a humanitarian crisis. Some 5,900 U.S. troops are on the border. They are unarmed, and they are there to reinforce the Border Patrol. They've been ordered to potentially detain, if they need to, migrants, but only for just a few minutes. Because of the law, they have to then give those immigrants back to the custody of the Border Patrol. John, it's safe to say we can expect some legal challenges from this. Human rights activists are already saying this undermines immigrant asylum rights, and also there's a danger there, perhaps leaving these migrants in cartel-controlled territories along the border for months or years.
No problem.
John.
Meantime, Brian, there is also a report the president is growing more and more dissatisfied with his Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin.
That's right, John. Look, the Dow just had one of its worst weeks of the year. The Dow down 4.4%, the S&P down 10%. I mean, that's correction territory. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the president is unhappy with these recent stock market declines and has drawn the ire towards Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, mainly because Steven Mnuchin is the one who recommended the appointment of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. And Powell has raised interest rates 3 times this year, so far from 1.5% to 2.75%. And Trump has publicly said he thinks Powell is raising interest rates way too fast and it's stunting growth. In fact, he says he considers interest rate hikes the biggest threat to this economy. And last night, the president tweeted that this Wall Street Journal report on Mnuchin was not true. He said, quote, I am extremely happy and proud of the job being done by U.S. Secretary Treasury Steven Mnuchin. The fake news likes to write stories to the contrary, quoting phony sources or jealous people, but they aren't true. They never like to ask me for a quote because it would kill their story. John, the president said he planned on interviewing some folks for a couple or a few positions on his administration, but he did not elaborate as to which positions he was interviewing for. John.
More palace intrigue ahead. Brian, yes, thank you. A major development in the Russia probe as Jerome Corsi, an associate of Roger Stone and longtime ally of President Trump, says he's been discussing a possible plea deal with special counsel Robert Mueller. Here is former Deputy Assistant Attorney General Bob Driscoll on what this could mean for the Mueller investigation.
It does seem like it's coming down to the end. You know, the top of the pyramid would be Trump. He submitted his questions. It looks like it should be winding up. And unless we see, again, I've been saying this all along, unless we see more than we've seen publicly, and there's always the chance there's something out there we don't know about, none of this seems to connect to Trump-Russia collusion.
Garrett Tank is in Washington live now with more. Garrett, how does Jerome Corsi fit into Mueller's investigation?
Well, John, Jerome Corsi's connection to Roger Stone is key here. Investigators have been trying to connect the Trump campaign to Russia, and to do that, they've been looking into any possible contacts that Trump associates had with WikiLeaks. Back in 2016, Corsi told friends that he believed WikiLeaks had the emails of Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta and would release them as an October surprise, which is what happened. Prosecutors want to know if Corsi had a secret contact with WikiLeaks and if he had used that to pass information along to Trump advisor Roger Stone, who then could have shared it with the Trump campaign. Corsi denies those allegations, but says after cooperating with Mueller's team for the past 2 months, he's now discussing a plea deal. Last week, he said he believed he had walked into a perjury trap.
I fully anticipate that in the next few days I will be indicted by Mueller for some form or other of giving false information to the special counsel, but I'm going to be criminally charged. And this has been one of the most frightening experiences of my life.
Yeah, Corsi is one of several people close to Roger Stone that Mueller's team has interviewed already. John?
So what is